Only one person watching, which I know isn't me. Doesn't make you feel special. I hope so. After all, you are a very exclusive group of subscribers. Yesterday, after I came back from Speaker's Corner, I joined Daniel's stream. It's a regular Sunday afternoon special in which he talks about his problems. We have had a turbulent relationship. I know I tend to have turbulent relationships with people, and I think it's even worse when you're kind of nearly agreed, but you're not quite. So the small differences then become very large and very infuriating because, you think, well, you should be on my side. You should be doing things as, you should be doing things in a way that I want you to because you have no reason not to. Hi, Tiffany. Yes, we know why Daniel is single. And there are some men who are slow learners who, have poor social skills. But the pity of it is that, when you mean well, when you want this thing that you want, but you still can't get it, is it because you're slow, because you're stupid, what's wrong? And observing what I have of people, well, clever people can be their own worst enemy, can't they? Well, that's been said about me, actually, so I guess everybody has had that said about them, and that is indeed the stuff of Greek tragedy or Shakespearean tragedy, because tragedies are about people, high-born people, kings, princes, and the like, coming to a terrible end because of some flaw in their character. So when we are mistaken or mad or lying or evil, the consequences tend to be the same, whatever the motivation of the parties concerned. So on the question of Daniel, I think he would learn sooner if he had a better attitude. And this kind of attitude is common to unsuccessful people. It's not that they're actually stupid. They just refuse to learn because they won't accept something about themselves. So, unfortunately, he's deleted the stream. But you should subscribe to his streams. Really, I mean, there have been streams and when he just talks for 5 hours with nobody there, and a lot of it is just venting and self-therapy, I suppose. He just wants somebody to listen to him, and he doesn't want anybody interrupting him, so he won't invite anyone on. It depends on what you want to do with your stream. A lot of these sort of solo streaming exercises is really wanting somebody to listen to them that they won't be able to get someone to listen to in real life because they want somebody there and they don't want that person to respond or challenge them. They just want them to, I don't know, nod, as a nodding dog might do. And then there are people that you talk to who, well, the thing is, you don't really know how much they understand of what you say or how much you understand of what they say. We know the difficulty when you use the same word and it doesn't mean the same thing. The best example is, of course, the Christian definition of idolatry and blasphemy and the Jewish and Muslim version of idolatry and blasphemy. So Daniel denies that he has problems in communication. So what he tends to do, and this is what drives me and other people crazy, is he tells you something and it's complicated and incomprehensible, and you say, if you really care about the thing, I mean, if you didn't care what he was saying, you wouldn't even bother asking him what the hell he meant, right? You wouldn't. But when you did, when you sort of begin, it's like, don't interrupt me, let me finish, don't interrupt me. And he's too dim to realize that there's no point finishing his sentence if the whole sentence, if the first part of it wasn't comprehensible. So he makes the person trying to understand him pay for his inability to communicate properly. And when you point out that he can't communicate properly, he'll get angry with you and kick you off his stream. That's what he does. And then he'll go on about, oh, Claire's so helpful. If only she would be, well, if only she'd listen to me and never question me and do exactly as I tell her, then I'd be so lovely, right? Or we all have our ideas, and some of us are better at explaining them than others. I think I'm one of the best people to explain ideas. I think whether you agree with me or not, you know damn well what I'm saying. Am I being arrogant when I say if you agree with me about the facts that I rely on, then and if you agree about being logical, then you can't deny the soundness of my conclusions. And so I get impatient with people who want to drag their feet. It's like, yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm not going to say it because it's going to offend so many people and shit like that. It's like, why not? Why don't you offend them? You've offended so many people already. Why are you holding back on offending a few more? What's the problem? Especially when the people you are afraid of offending are well, I don't think I need to finish the sentence. Because basically I am the only intellectual in nationalism. I'm sorry I'm the wrong race. I'm sorry I'm the wrong sex. But who else? Who else has a plan that isn't just a wish list? Who else has an itinerary and a roadmap? And all I get is, oh, you can't make us. No, I'm not supposed to physically force you, you know? That's not the idea at all. If you look at the stories of the prophets of old, they're all individuals. They're not kings. I suppose King David was a king, but that was only after, well, he did his brave thing and became king. By killing Goliath with his sling, right? Because he's a clever little guy. Because it stands to reason that if you can't be persuaded by truth, logic, and morality to do what I ask you, and you have no answer, and you've been trying for 10 years or so, more than that probably, if over a decade has elapsed and you still can't find a better way, then, it's time to admit defeat instead of saying, no, we still don't like it. You haven't made us like your idea. It's not British. It's like, no, does it have to be? Are you going to say that you're not going to use any idea if you didn't think about it, or your ancestors didn't think about it? That's dumb. Why would you reject an idea just because you didn't think of it? Can you imagine how dumb people would be? It's like, I reject your idea because I didn't think of it because I'm stupid. And even though I'm stupid, and I could have the benefit of this good idea, I'm not going to because it just ain't me. So really, the whole idea of sending prophets from time to time, as and when necessary, and they're always unarmed. They have to be unarmed because otherwise, they have their own police force, their own army. They'll just sort of, invade your country and then take it over and make you do everything they want you to do. But prophets are people who only rely on their skills of persuasion to say, look, you've gone wrong, let's go the other way. And here are the reasons why you should listen to me. And there's no fault in my logic, there's no dispute in the facts that I choose to rely on. It's just people who just say, stupid shit like, Islam ain't European. Does it have to be? Did the Chinese say, communism ain't Chinese? We're not going to do it. Because they did adopt the idea of a self-hating German Jew, didn't they? They've done all right so far, haven't they? Dialectical materialism, it works. It's pretty much a theory of everything. At least they don't feel stupid. The Chinese don't feel stupid for claiming to believe that a crucified Jew on a stick is God. They don't have to say crazy things like that and end up feeling stupid and hating God because a cosmic fraud has been perpetrated on Western man, and he can't accept it. Or when he does, he's going to blame the Jews, right? He's going to blame the Jews for making his ancestors worship a dead Jew on a stick for 2,000 years, and they can't get over that. Their mind is totally scrambled, and their rejection, their reaction is to reject the Abrahamic God. And they say, well, Christianity is clearly worse and useless. The Jews tricked our ancestors into believing it, and we hate Muslims. So we're going to reject the whole lot, and we're going to become pagans. We're going to worship Wotan. We're going to worship Odin. We're going to worship Thor. We're going to worship Zeus. I mean, it's a bit sad, isn't it? I just listen to them. And they get airspace. They have far more subscribers than little old me. And all I'm trying to do is say, look, why can't you just say the right, okay, you don't even have to agree with me, right? You just have a conversation with me about it. And they can't. Ed Dutton can't do it. He's got to invite this milquetoast who won't say anything that would upset anyone because that's his way. He'll just be so boring that nobody will get scared and nobody will care one way or the other what he says, because what he's going to say, this Canadian Muslim who's going to be on Ed Dutton's show tonight, is it tonight? He's going to say, us white people, we're so scared and helpless. Those of us who've converted to Islam, we want to keep our own culture, but we can't just be with other brown Muslims because we'll just be absorbed into their culture. So we just need a little safe space for ourselves, and that's all we want. We're not scary. Not like secular Quranism. That's what he's going to say, right? And that's why Ed Dutton wants him instead of me. It's so pathetic. The corruption, not just from the top, but in the murky depths of the lower strata of British society. I mean, the kindest thing is to consider them all neurotic, neurotic people. They can't do anything that makes sense. They want something, but they're too afraid, That's just the men. What about the women? Can't get any of them talk to me properly. Can't talk about it. They might have children, they might have the possibility of grandchildren, but they're not going to help me. Because what? They're too scared. The women, right? The women, they can't say anything that's going to make them stand out from the crowd. Even though some of them might have done something to stand out from the crowd, but it's too much already. I can't do anymore. I've done enough. I want to go back to wherever I came from, and I don't want to do anymore. You can't make me. I don't like it. I don't wanna. So I'm basically dealing with a bunch of children, really. I mean, deep down, only children say things like that. We don't like it. We don't wanna. You can't make us. So it's true about, effeminacy and infantilization of adults being the death of any society, the death of any civilization. Because what will happen is that they'll just reject everything that makes sense, and they'll go, but they'll just be dictated to by their emotions, which means it's all powered by ego, right? The ego says, I don't wanna. She can't make me. I don't like it. Forget truth, logic, and morality. What's it got to do with them, huh? What's it got to do with infantilized, effeminate, neurotic people who can't think straight? Maybe they've never thought straight all their lives. So they don't know how. It's probably too late. I mean, really, the death of the West can be explained by there being no responsible adult in charge. You can blame it on the Jews if you want, but I think the West is dying because there is no responsible adult in charge. Is there anybody in charge of the Jews? No, there isn't either. They're also having their principles diluted because they don't have a pope. There's no central authority for religion. They all do their own thing, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. There's nobody to go to for, there's no Supreme Court. There's no head honcho in either of these groups. And that is the problem. That's what I've been saying is a problem. because patriarchy would have a pyramid social structure. There would be somebody at the apex. There would be all the people at the bottom, but you know where to go to look for the leader, the head honcho. You would go to the apex of the pyramid. Well, the matriarchy is an inverted pyramid spinning like a top on its axis, very unstable, about to topple over, and that's what we are. Matriarchy is a pyramid spinning on its axis like a top. So that's the problem, and I can't get anyone to talk to me. I can't get them to affirm my position using their real name. The only people who might speak to me are nobodies, or nobody anybody has heard of. So their excuses is basically, we don't like it. We don't wanna. You can't make us because you ain't got no army, you ain't got no police force, and that's the end of the matter. We will only be moved by force because we are basically brats who only understand one language, and that is violence. Fuck truth, logic, and morality. What's that? Can't eat it, you can't drink it, you can't wear it, you can't fuck it. No use, it's just an abstract idea that only philosophers are interested in, and no one in academia is interested in ideas like this, even if they were paid to call themselves philosopher. Because philosopher in the West means basically wanker, pretentious git, stupid wanker. That's what they are. Can you think of any philosopher that you might like to talk to now who would be prepared to talk to me? So Daniel Sienkiewicz will forever deny that his communication skills are not up to par, not capable of persuading anyone. And that is basically a microcosm of the problem of Western man, that of incompetence, of being this sort of sad creature, crippled by his inability to think straight or act right, behaving like a victim, a lost boy, and having no self-awareness. And of course, their women hate them for being so incompetent, so useless, so helpless, so spineless. But their women will not be corrected. They cannot. They do not operate on truth, logic, and morality. They operate on ego, neurosis, narcissism, denial. You can try any method you want. You can be courtly, you can be obsequious, you can be insistent. Nothing works. They're beyond reason. So the problem solves itself, really. If if you don't want to live in an advanced civilization, if you don't have the wherewithal to make the right choices, to remain an advanced civilization, then you don't deserve to live in an advanced civilization, and the problem is solved. Quite a lot of posts. How many of them will be intelligent? The best comments have been at the beginning. Tiffany, who was on the same stream with me. What a shame. What a shame Daniel Sienkiewicz can't even bring himself to look at his own mistakes, his own failure in communication. He did basically the same to me, to Tiffany. Wouldn't let her finish, wouldn't let her say, well, I didn't quite get what you said. Says, let me finish my incomprehensible explanation. And then you can, and he'll bore you to death, and he won't snap out of it because he's too dumb and too in denial. And when you think of, well, just magnify the whole, maybe magnify is not the right word, expand this behavior for all the men in the West, then you're all doomed, right? You're all doomed. If you all behave like Daniel Sienkiewicz, you're all doomed. So what's his big idea? He wants this thing called unionization, and it's nothing to do with trade unions, right? It's nothing to do with trade unions. You have to understand that it's its own peculiar way of using the English language. And it means that all white people will have to behave as if they cared about each other. Imagine that, white people behaving as if they cared about each other and would cooperate with each other, when we know that white people are the most treacherous people of all to each other because they haven't even got a religion. And they don't even know it, and you tell them and they won't understand. I've been saying Christianity is kaput for how many years now, and they don't get it, or they'll deny it. I say liberalism is kaput, and liberalism was supposed to replace Christianity, and do they get it? I don't know. It's hard to tell, isn't it? They half get it, and then it pops out of their minds, and then they become Christian nationalists. Well, at least Connox agrees with me that Daniel is very difficult indeed, and he's got behavioural problems, and he can't control his emotions, which is pathetic in a man. So the other nationalists, they laugh at him. It's hard not to, because he's so ridiculous. It's like, I don't like Nazis, but I don't like Jews either. But I don't want you to call me a Nazi. But actually, in my ethno-state, I'm not going to even count the Jews. They're not part of my nation, so I'm not going to count them. I'm going to count all the other white groups, but I'm not going to count the Jews. The you-know-whos. And you know what? He's the only person supposed to be an intellectual. That's as good as you're going to get. I mean, is anybody else? I don't think you can count Richard Spencer because, even if the United States came up to Richard Spencer and say, hey, Richard, you want your ethno-state? You can choose one of the 50 states of America. Which will it be? Which will it be, Richard? And he won't be able to choose. So it was all a silly little idea from the beginning. The only way you can control people's behavior is by changing the law and the political system. And he can't talk about things like that. Nobody can. I'm the only one who talks about these things. Therefore, I must be the intellectual of the alt-right, mustn't I? And I'm prepared to defend all my ideas, but nobody will platform me, right? Not millennial words. Not the intellectual, academic, kind of sounding person, Ed Dutton, too scared to platform me. So this is how you deal with your problems. You ignore them, you deny them, you suppress them, and then blame the Jews. So clever, so clever. Why didn't I think of it? They all know who I am, They all know who I am. And national solidarity is about, well, not letting Claire on your platform, never discussing secular Quranism, pretending not to know who she is, denying the existence of secular Quranism, denying their abject failure after a decade in being able to come up with anything better than secular Quranism other than blaming Jews. I've already made the point that what anti-Semites blame Jews for, non-whites can easily blame whites for. I've made that point several times. It just seems to not be acknowledged. I think they're saying, it couldn't possibly happen that, the non-whites of the world, all start realizing that all the trouble, all the shit comes from the globo homo being pumped out of the White House. And they might think, well, maybe it's not the Jews, maybe it's, Westerners, the white ones. Could they kick you out? Maybe there's a big enough spaceship to, put all the white people on it, and, like one of those, what do you call it? Banana boats, right? Send them back on a banana. Maybe there's some banana boat space vessel or something, going to the nearest habitable planet, I just don't see how you could defend yourself against, any of all the accusations you blame on the Jews. Non-whites could blame on you, and could you successfully defend yourself? It's like, yeah, it's all white people doing all this. So white people are evil? Really? I mean, I know people. I know somebody who thinks, all the evil of the world comes from the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's what this person thinks. Connots, I don't want to talk to you because you're going to say your same old liberal shit. You won't have any solution other than, social democracy is so wonderful. Let's have a bit more of it. Christine Ramsey says, the idea is rejected because it has Quranism in the title. Yeah, because you're all Islamophobes. I totally get it. So I'm talking to people who don't understand that they need a moral system for their society. I still can't find anyone prepared to engage on this subject properly. No social scientist, no philosopher, no political scientist. Can't get anyone to talk about it. Anybody in academia with a job talking about these things. It's all, the K word. We have to run now. We have to run out of the room screaming, even though we have no religion. And the people were always complaining about the Jews and the Muslims. They have a religion, but the penny hasn't dropped yet, has it? You still don't get it. That the reason why everything is going wrong and why you can't even defend yourselves and formulate an argument in your own defense is because you haven't got a religion and you have no hierarchy. You have no one to protect your interests because you can't even choose anyone who thinks they're supposed to represent your interests. No one represents the sensible people in the West now, do they? There's no such person, no such office, no such position. Actually, I think I'm the only one speaking for you. But then you don't want me to do that. Islam for Europeans has better optics. Last time I looked, it was 185 subscribers with milk toast. With the milk toast representing it. I guess if I were, properly ineffectual, Ed Dutton would have me on. But yeah, go and have a look at how Rob Dufour will be comporting himself. He won't present a threat to anyone at all. Of course not. That's the whole basis of his demeanour. I wouldn't hurt a fly. I would hurt a fly. Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth. I'm so weak. We're so weak that we just want, us white Muslims, we just want a safe space to ourselves. That's all we want. And that's all you're going to get out of him. And I don't think that would be a good way of doing dawah. You just want to be associated with what? Helpless white people who need a little safe space because they need space for themselves to become white and Muslim in a what's the word? In a way that isn't shameful. Christine Ramsey says, I can't make anyone accept my ideology. No, I mean, obviously, I can't make people sort of sign up to it, but they haven't got anything better. They have nothing that's coherent. It's, particularly when they say, yes, I agree with you. Yeah, Christianity doesn't work. But the British people will never accept Islam. It's like, no. Actually, the people you mix with who are Islamophobes will never accept. Well, they would be happy if you support me, but, well, it's a risk, isn't it? Everything's a risk. But all these people whose approval you need, are they any better than me? They're just charmless, hateful people who can't even engage on anything. They can't talk. They can't discuss anything rationally. If they discuss anything with anyone, it would have to be somebody who already agrees with them. And these people aren't all, uneducated plebs, right? A lot of them have been to a good university, but they still can't answer simple questions about whether Christianity is coupled, whether liberalism is coupled. What else are they going to use but secular Quranism? Fascism? Really? Nazism? Communism? Socialism? What? So they think a bunch of social and political pariahs are going to write something and they're going to adopt it as some kind of manifesto and everything will be all right. Really? I don't think they have a single thought in their heads. It's all about, oh, we don't like this and we don't like that. You have to make us like it. So you better lie to us, Claire. We want you to lie to us. Well, you know where to go for this sort of thing. We want you to sugar the pill, Nanny. We want you to tell us that this invasive surgical procedure that amounts to an amputation is not necessary, even though our leg has gone black. No, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to say your leg has gone black. And if you don't cut it off, you're going to die of septicemia. So hurry up and make up your mind. Unless you want to die of septicemia. Why would anyone in the media or in politics talk to someone so obviously off a rocker and abusive? Asked Christine Ramsey. Well, I can be nice if I want. Thomas White. Yes, you are a joke. Yes, you are a joke. So Thomas White says, censorship and cancel culture is to blame. Well, when I think of white people and their ancestors who crossed oceans and continents, I'm sure they weren't afraid of having their social media account deleted. I think they had sort of more scary things to be dealing with. But Thomas White, somebody might frown at me. I better not do it then. No, I don't care about my viewership. And there's no point talking to Jay because he's got nothing to say. He'll be parroting his usual, we don't like it. We don't wanna. You can't make us. And it would be true. You don't like it, you don't want to, and I can't make you. So there's nothing more to say. So Walker's Chris, it says he has a religion. Or what's that religion? It's narcissism. Because Jay says he goes into the kingdom of heaven every day, like he would walk into his shed or into his bathroom. That's what he does. He walks into the kingdom of heaven the way he would walk into his kitchen. That's what he says. It's the kind of nonsense he talks about. But you like him because you know he doesn't like secular Quranism. Not bad, this echo chamber, 14 people. Red Sulphur Cafe. Let's hope that God is listening to me if he exists. I know my powers of persuasion are being tested and my patience tried. You know, I get all kinds of sort of crazy advice given to me. It's like, you must be patient. You mustn't be so persistent. It's like, well, where would I get if I wasn't persistent? You just ignore me. You'd ignore me even more. So I try methods. I have a whole bunch of methods that I use to get people to understand what I'm trying to say. I always start nice. You can't blame me for not being nice to you from the beginning. I always ask nicely, and if you won't give it to me and you have no good reason not to give it to me, except that you just don't want to give it to me because you don't like me anymore, because you just don't feel like it, then it's not a good reason as far as I'm concerned. You're supposed to care about the national interest. I mean, you're some kind of nationalist, aren't you? You're supposed to care about the national interest. You're supposed to care about a whole bunch of things. But if you're not even fit for the purpose of discussing what the national interest is, then, well, I just feel that the gloves have to be taken off. And maybe the cattle prod turned on, since you won't respond to reason. It's like, I have to be patient. I have been patient. I've been very patient. What are we waiting for? For things to get worse? Is that what we're waiting for? You're still not sure if things are going to get worse? You think they're going to get better? You think things are going to get better when they convict Prince Andrew for something that isn't even a crime in this country. They're going to get him, and you'll all be okay about that because you hate princes, right? Due process. What the hell is that? Who cares about due process? So if Prince Andrew, whose mum is the Queen, doesn't get due process, what chance would you, little man, of getting even a glance from whoever administers the law? You know it's all rigged, right? Even if you get justice, they make sure you pay for it, and most people can't afford to pay for it. Prince Andrew is in trouble, has to sell a few houses to pay for it. But if they make him pay a few £1 million, I bet there'll be so many stupid, pathetic Brits who'll cheer, who want to assume he's guilty and that he got his comeuppance. That's what you'll do, most of you, right? Nothing gives you more pleasure to see than to see somebody who has more than you fall, because low down people are like that. You know, the rancor of the peasant. They'll hate anyone above them and gloat when they fall. It's not even that they particularly hate Andrew. They just like it when somebody above them falls. It's just their, low standards of morality. They can't imagine being anything other than what they are. And they certainly don't have any principles or any understanding about due process. And if they did look it up, they wouldn't know what it is. And that's why some people just shouldn't be asked anything about anything. That's why democracy, in my view, should be taken out with the trash and some other better system substituted, which I'm happy to explain. I'd be very happy to explain it to anybody intelligent enough to ask obvious follow-up questions. But instead, all I get is kind of blank incomprehension, non-engagement. Some male energy is needed. I think I'm providing all of it, right? I'm doing the male energy thing. I mean, you lot are the women. You're having to be courted and wanting to be told sweet little lies. All right, I think I've said enough. I think my position remains clear. I haven't muddied the waters. I am telling you all what your problem is. And it's up to you if you want to solve it or you just want to, I don't know, die in the moral sewage you are marinating in.